Hook, capturing the audience. Have you ever had one of those days when it feels like the whole world is against you? When every step forward pushes you 2 steps back? When your dreams, once so clear, start to fade behind a fog of failure and doubt? This is the story of Aiden Parker, a man who lost everything, yet somehow found his way back. A story that reminds us, when everything goes wrong, that's when your real story begins. The beginning, the dreamer. Aiden Parker grew up in a small town, the kind of place where dreams were smaller than the houses and those weren't very big either. But Aiden was different. Ever since he was a boy, he'd talk about building something great, a company, a project, a legacy, something that would change lives. He wasn't the smartest in class or the most popular, but he had one thing that separated him from everyone else, a fire that refused to go out. After finishing college, he moved to the city with nothing more than an old laptop, a few $100s, and a dream of starting a tech company that would make education accessible to kids in poor communities. His friends laughed, his family worried, but Aiden only smiled and said, "I'll find a way." For a while, it seemed like he would. He got a few investors, hired a small team, and his idea, an app that connected teachers to remote students, began to grow. The first year was a miracle. Newspapers featured him, investors called him a prodigy, and even his old school invited him back to speak about success. But success is a tricky thing, it loves to test how much you can handle before it takes everything away. The fall, when everything goes wrong. The first sign of trouble came quietly. His lead developer quit, taking some key code with him. Then an investor backed out unexpectedly. Aiden tried to hold things together, but it was like trying to hold water with open hands. The app started crashing. Users complained. Funding dried up. One evening, as Aiden sat in his dark office surrounded by empty coffee cups and unpaid bills, he received the email that would break him. The biggest investor had pulled out. The company was bankrupt. He walked home through the cold rain that night, his phone buzzing with calls he couldn't answer. When he reached his apartment, he collapsed on the couch, stared at the ceiling, and whispered to himself, maybe they were right. Maybe I wasn't cut out for this. Days turned into weeks. His team left. His girlfriend broke up with him, saying she couldn't handle the uncertainty anymore. His landlord evicted him. For the first time in his life, Aiden had no plan, no money, no home, nothing but the heavy silence of failure. The turning point, the stranger on the bench. One evening, he found himself sitting on a park bench, watching the city lights shimmer in the distance. Beside him sat an old man feeding pigeons. The man looked at Aiden and said, "You've got the eyes of someone who's lost something important." Aiden gave a bitter laugh. "Everything," he said. "I've lost everything." The old man nodded slowly. "Then you're lucky," he said softly. Aiden frowned. "Lucky? How is losing everything lucky?" "Because now," the man replied, "you have nothing left to lose, and that's when people become unstoppable." Those words hit Aiden like lightning. Unstoppable. He sat there long after the old man left, repeating the word in his mind. Maybe the man was right. Maybe failure wasn't the end, maybe it was the beginning. The rise, learning from failure. The next morning, Aiden walked into a public library, the only place where he could sit, think, and use free Wi-Fi. He opened his laptop and began again. This time, he didn't think about investors or headlines. He thought about the kids, the ones he started this journey for. He spent weeks rewriting his code, redesigning his platform, fixing every mistake he'd made. He reached out to teachers personally, asking for feedback. He slept in shelters, lived off instant noodles, and coded for 14 hours a day. Slowly, things began to change. A small group of teachers joined his beta version. Then a few students. A local charity heard about his project and decided to sponsor him. Bit by bit, Aiden's dream started breathing again, weaker, but alive. After a year of relentless work, the app, now renamed LearnReach, went live. Within months, it spread to hundreds of schools in developing areas. The same newspapers that once wrote about his failure now called him, the man who refused to give up. The message, the real meaning of success. Aiden never became a billionaire. He didn't drive fancy cars or live in a mansion. But he built something that mattered. He changed lives. And when people asked him what kept him going through all the pain, he would smile and say, "When everything goes wrong, remember, it's not a sign to stop. It's a test to see how badly you want it. The world breaks you first to see if you can build yourself stronger." Ending, the full circle. Years later, during a speech at a university, Aiden looked at the crowd of young dreamers staring back at him and said, "I once met an old man on a park bench who told me I was lucky to have lost everything. Back then, I thought he was crazy. But now I know he was right. Because when I had nothing left, I found the one thing I had forgotten, myself." He paused, looking into the audience with a smile that came from years of scars and victories. So if you're sitting here today feeling like your world is falling apart, don't quit. Don't run. Don't let failure convince you that you're done. Because sometimes, when everything goes wrong, that's just life pushing you toward what's right. Closing message. When everything goes wrong, remember this: you haven't failed. You're just being forged. The fire that burns you today will become the light that guides you tomorrow.